One of the primary reasons visitors come to Mexico stems from the diverse and fine artisan crafts produced by families and rural communities. The state of Oaxaca, alongside a handful of others such as Michoacan and Chiapas, reflects rich cultural pre-Columbian histories in which artisan craft evolved locally, regionally, and beyond based on its demand and use. This has led to the development of 17 general categories of artisan craft in the country. But why is artisan craft important? Socially, it serves as a link to history, the formation and expression of collective identities, a cultural celebration that gives a sense of belonging. Oftentimes, it narrates otherworldly fictions and indigenous mythologies, while simultaneously playing with national symbols from important historical moments such as the Mexican Revolution. Artisan craft is also an impressive form of creative entrepreneurship, resilience, and resourcefulness, employing local natural resources and cultivated skills. As a source of income, it flourished and diversified along ancient trade routes. Then, with the construction of highways, tourism and commerce pushed it to continually transform. Originally as a human expression wedded to a geographical location and a system of beliefs, traditional artifacts became a commercial enterprise, forcing its mediums and styles to diverge from their historical roots. One might think that the very nature of handmade crafts represent a protest and resistance to the industrialization that powers modern global economies, fighting against the loss of the human heart and identity in a creative process. However, those same uniquely human characteristics behind artisanal craft add value to a product, and combined with utilitarian quality, has found a significant global market niche. This resistance and protest to industrialization can have a commercial goal. Yet it's clear that goal has not been fully realized. While approximately 10 million Mexicans are artisans, 70% of them live in poverty and extreme poverty. What is preventing artisans from realizing their potential? If they try to emulate industrialized products through more conventional designs and styles, will their income increase? As a result, will they lose the uniqueness and authenticity that made their products sell in the first place? There are many small businesses run by indigenous artisans who navigate these waters between the traditional and contemporary worlds of design. They hope to preserve their crafts and cultures while improving the quality of life of their families. DAVA Artisan Design, a Oaxacan business run by Zapotec women that produce elaborate handmade footwear using indigenous textiles, will walk us through their vision and work as they tackle these same challenges. We're on our way to the town San Dionisio Cotepec to learn about DAVA Artisan Design. To get there, we'll travel 40 miles southeast from Oaxaca City, driving through the Central Valley. Our journey follows a path lined by dramatic mountains and infinite skies, small towns, stretches of communal land used for farming, and countless archaeological sites, offering a glimpse into ancient worlds that refuse to be hidden. The past blends with the present here. The towns on this side of the valley consist of 2,000 to 10,000 people, each location with its own histories, traditions, crafts, and foods. In most of them, a variant of the indigenous language Zapotec is spoken. Oaxaca is marked by thousands of years of cultural development in regional pockets separated by mountains and long distances, where families and tribes created customs and ways of life, speaking languages that originated from larger linguistic branches, breaking into variants over time. Just like natural species evolve distinctly in different contexts, language and culture have continued to diversify and change during many years. Driving through the Central Valley is an experience of passing through physical milestones of past civilizations, manifested in the Zapotec religious temples of Mitla, believed to be the gateway between the living and the dead, constructed around 850 AD. The former city-state of Yagul is little more than a stone's throw away from the freeway, first occupied between 500 and 100 BC. The slightly hidden terraces of past fortresses peek out from the sides of nearly every hill, waiting to be uncovered and remembered. In a cave not far from here, One of the first domesticated examples of corn was discovered. They are all reminders that the present is built on the lives of past generations, however far back they go. As our drive continues, we are surrounded by fine artisan craft. A few kilometers from the highway lies Santa Cruz Papalutla, with a tradition of elaborate baskets and adornments made with carrizo, which is a thinner cousin of bamboo often found along streams and rivers. We can see the entrance to Teotitlán del Valle, world famous for its beautiful wool rugs, many made with natural dyes such as from the cochineal insect, used for thousands of years for its intense burgundy color. Other fine craft traditions such as elaborate candle making are also sources of great local pride. Near the base of the mountains live ceramicists in San Marcos Tlapazola, whose work with red clay have earned worldwide recognition. Despite these ancestral traditions and skills handed down each generation, most residents in the Central Valley depend on different activities for their income, such as the sale in local markets of leftover crops after seasonal farming, and any number of small business ventures, such as corner stores, mom-and-pop cafes, bakeries, moto taxi services, tool stores, and cyber cafes. Mezcal production is also growing, though not everyone can afford the heavy investment to start. High costs and tiny profits for these small-scale businesses have forced many to leave their communities. In part, these changes in local economies reflect larger macroeconomic pressures born from globalization. The ebb and flow of migrant workers and greater access to international media through technology have left an imprint on local identities, pressuring residents to assimilate and standardize communication. Less and less Oaxacans speak indigenous languages, dramatically changing from one generation from another, cutting access to ancient knowledge, worldviews, and even values. There are other options, however. A movement to preserve and ethically monetize certain traditions such as artisan craft offer various paths to celebrating cultural diversity, increasing income, and improving one's quality of life locally, thus reducing the pressure to migrate. There are local Oaxacan trailblazers like DAVA Artisan Design that set an example for other small businesses in indigenous communities to follow. Arriving to their community, San Dionis Ocotepec, situated in the mountains immediately above the Central Valley on the way to the Isthmus. The town is a bit larger than its neighbors, with over 10,000 residents, 75% of which speak a variant of the Zapotec language. While many of them plant and harvest in the fields, selling some of the extra produce in local markets, others go to Matatlan and Mitla to work for mezcal companies, bars and stores, or as domestic help. Some of them work in the tomato greenhouses in the neighboring town of Huila. The Garcia family established DAVA Artisan Design over many years, navigating the crossroads of cultural preservation and contemporary design, with a mission of creating sustainable employment for women. As an enterprise run by Zapotec women, they have created a network of over 100 artisans that produce fine indigenous textiles, whose fabrics and embroideries are now showcased on beautiful shoes and sandals. The roller coaster ride in the Mexican economy has encouraged the family to continually innovate. In fact, it was an economic crisis that inspired the current version of the business. In the 1980s, their father, Germán Garcia, began learning how to make traditional sandals made of leather and tire rubber for farmers, selling on weekends in local markets. When those customers began migrating in droves to the US after NAFTA was signed, the family was forced to take on other work, with all of the adolescent daughters pitching in to buy and sell construction materials to make ends meet. However, their mother, Clara Garcia, had a passion for designing footwear and saw an opportunity to create something new in a way that celebrated Oaxacan culture and its textile traditions. The first prototypes were made with seeds linked together, instantly receiving praise from visiting international designers that happened to see their products in the market. That was the beginning of DAVA. From that moment, the family began a path that continues to this day, which has allowed them to open their own store in downtown Oaxaca, build a professional e-commerce website, expand sales to vast numbers of national and international clients, build a new factory, and employ more local women. They have amassed over 35,000 followers on Facebook and are frequently approached by media outlets and politicians wanting to know how to support them and showcase their company as the new face of progress, led by indigenous women in Oaxaca, the state with the second highest rate of poverty in the country. In many Oaxacan communities, customs persist that do not allow women to have employment once married. Women who are widows or unmarried are stigmatized and frequently can't find paid work either. Without their own source of income, women are frequently forced into financially dependent relationships with their husbands and other male family members. Slowly, these roles are changing, however, in part through federal policy mandating women's participation in local government, as well as a consequence of men migrating out of the community. In men's absence, women have gained an unexpected amount of agency and leadership. DAVA proudly has a role in these changes, offering employment opportunities to women and showing a path toward greater autonomy and economic independence. We've arrived at the DAVA factory where we'll sit down for a chat with Laura Garcia, who leads the production team.
La empresa se dedica a elaborar calzado artesanal. El 90% de nuestros insumos o nuestra materia prima son locales. Nuestros clientes son amantes de la cultura y amantes de la artesanía. Tenemos clientes a nivel nacional e internacional. Nuestros principales clientes están en la Ciudad de México, en Cancún, en Puerto Vallarta, en Veracruz y parte de la frontera. En Estados Unidos estamos en Nueva York, Chicago, Texas y estamos en Los Ángeles. A nivel Europa estamos en Francia, estamos en España y estamos en Gran Bretaña. El proceso de elaboración de una sandalia es de la siguiente forma. El paso número 1 es el curtimiento del cuero. Cuando el carnicero trae el cuero a la cooperativa, nosotros lo que hacemos es curtirlo con extractos de vegetal libres de químicos. El segundo paso, ya después de que está curtido, lo que hacemos es suajarlos por medio de unos moldes que nosotros tenemos. Los suajamos con unas maderitas, colocamos las líneas hasta donde tiene que ir suajado, dependiendo del modelo que nosotros ocupamos. Después de eso colocamos la talla y colocamos la marca a golpe. Ya cuando tenemos la plantilla, lo pasamos a la siguiente área. Lo que hacemos es cortar todas las tiras de telar, dependiendo del modelo. Cortamos el ancho o el angosto de cada una de las tiras o dependiendo de cada diseño. Cuando ya está preparado las tiras, también lo pasamos al área de hormado. Los hormamos y de ahí le echamos el pegamento, lo pegamos a golpe y lo pasamos a la siguiente área, que es el pegado de la suela con la sandalia. Unimos ambas partes y de ahí con un cuchillo cortamos todo alrededor y después lo pasamos al lijado. Después del lijado pasa al área de calidad para cortarle los hilos o todo el excedente que tenga y de ahí está listo para irse al almacén. Y ya en almacén pues lo que hacen es etiquetarlo y inventariarlo según la clave de cada producto y está listo para llevar cada producto a nuestros clientes y pues compartir parte de nuestra esencia y de nuestra cultura en cada par de calzado.
Sakuchi, narela clar, chi, vinshni shronare. Buenas tardes a todos. Yo me llamo Clara García Antonio, soy originaria de San Dionisio, Cotepec. Hace 38 años, mi esposo y yo iniciamos con calzado de la región, calzado típico y la curtiduría. Ahorita mis hijos, la segunda generación, se incorporaron al trabajo. Ellos están sacando nuevos diseños para caballero, dama, niños, calzado cerrado, tenis, zapatillas, una gran variedad de calzado. Nuestra empresa es DAVA, que significa mi sandalia. Nosotros elaboramos calzado con las artesanías de las 8 regiones de nuestro estado. Con los cambios que ha habido en la vida, llegó el sintético, el vinil. Íbamos a dejar de curtir, pero empezamos a hacer huaraches típicos y de ahí llegaron los huaraches chinos, la devaluación. Fueron muchos factores que nos han empujado pues, a cambiar. Y ahorita, gracias a esos cambios que nos dio la vida, hemos estado innovando. La segunda generación, que son mis hijos, se integraron con más diseños, más modelos, con más ahora sí, con más ganas de salir adelante. La mayor parte de los colaboradores de esta empresa, un 80% son mujeres, son jefas de familia, ayudan mucho a lo básico en su familia. Y además en este pueblito, pues aquí no hay trabajo, no hay nada. Y tratamos de vivir lo más armonioso en esta empresa como familia. Pues me siento muy orgullosa de que podamos apoyarlos y ellos también nos apoyan. Es la única y primera empresa en el estado de Oaxaca que está elaborando calzado artesanal en colaboración con todos los artesanos de las 8 regiones. Los artesanos, maestros artesanos, tienen mucho que dar a nuestro público.
En el año 2019 teníamos una nueva tienda donde nuestro año era exitoso. Empezamos a tener clientes minoristas, mayoristas. La pandemia comenzó, tuvimos que cerrar nuestra tienda, tuvimos que encerrarnos en casa. De ahí, en el año 2021, cuando todo parecía que ya estaba de nuevo bien, fue ahí donde abrimos una página en línea donde más o menos empezaba a funcionar esto de las ventas. Pero va variando de meses fuertes, donde por ejemplo en enero, en abril, diciembre, son los meses que más o menos se va vendiendo. Podemos mencionar que es uno de nuestros mayores retos porque aún no sabemos cómo manejar esta parte de las ventas. Una gran pregunta: ¿qué va a pasar después de Año Nuevo? ¿La pandemia habrá desaparecido? ¿Será que vamos creciendo o vamos bajando más? Todo es un signo de interrogación. De ahí, pues, nuestros inventarios también han sido un reto, ya que no encontramos un programa exactamente que podamos manejar de acuerdo a nuestra empresa o nuestro giro. Es que nosotros necesitamos mucho más publicidad, buscar nuevos mercados, nuevos clientes y así también poder hacer nuevos diseños para que no nos perdamos esa de la innovación, la moda, y estar al ras con las nuevas empresas que siempre están lanzando cosas de temporada. Están conformadas por madres solteras que luchan día a día para poder llevar un ingreso a sus casas. Las materias primas que nosotros utilizamos son bordados, telas artesanales, lana y sobre todo, todos son adquiridos dentro de nuestra misma región, que son, por ejemplo, Santana del Valle, San Baltasar Chichicapan y San Baltasar Guelavía. Aparte de manejar los diseños tradicionales, los estamos innovando en diseños modernos, que son los tenis, sandalias, zapatillas.
¿Qué nos hace únicos? Nos hace únicos que somos una empresa 100% indígenas, lideradas por mujeres zapotecas, adicional a que toda nuestra materia prima es local. Y todos los bordados que incluimos en todo nuestro calzado plasma la cosmovisión de cada pueblo originario y así podemos llevar nuestra cultura en cada par de zapatos que hacemos.